If you look up advice for homemaking online, what you'll generally find is a bunch of pretty pictures setting a standard that your home will never achieve, and instructions for sourdough, canning, decorating, flower arranging, and other nice touches. But homemaking is not just adding nice touches to your home. Homemaking is about taking the house that your family lives in, no matter how unimpressive, how much of a tight squeeze, or how much it doesn't meet your aesthetic standards, and still turning it into a home. A place where life happens with fruitful and faithful abundance. Hi, I'm Mystie Winckler, and this is Simply Convivial, the podcast that equips you to cheerfully and competently manage your home. Convivial means doing life together with joy, and that's what we want our homes to be about. So, grab a basket of laundry to fold, and let's dig in. 2.5 years ago, we moved, sold our house of 12 years, the one I thought we'd be in for another 10 years at least. We moved across state lines from Washington State to Idaho, like many did post 2020. We purchased land before we moved, had house plans in development, and moved into a small but decent duplex rental. This duplex that we're in now is half the size of the house that we sold, and yet the house that we are building will be 3 times the size of this duplex. So we do have to live minimally for a season, with much of our stuff packed in storage for some undisclosed future date. In this small college town, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom rental in good condition is not that common, so we're very blessed to have been able to land here. When we signed our first lease, we thought we'd be in for maybe a year, probably less. However, when our blueprints were done, the supply chain mess was at its peak. Lumber was astronomical, and labor was both scarce and expensive. So here we are now, 2.5 years into this make-do rental. I could make a long laundry list of the things that my husband would be fixing and improving if it were our property. But this is not our property. Instead, I will say this in the duplex's favor. It was a smart layout that makes good use of the space. It has great closets, and it has a generous backyard with an empty lot behind it. There are definitely many worse rentals in town. I'm grateful to have been given this spot to land temporarily between our family's homes. So, recently, I had a friend in a similar situation ask how I managed my attitude and my homemaking in a less than ideal small space where you can't really change anything major. Specifically, in a home that's much smaller and honestly a lower quality than what we moved from, and also that we plan to move to. It's a good question, because it is something that takes work. We can't just let our default thoughts and emotions take over. Gratitude, attitude management, and homemaking are priority good works that we are called to as women, so they are worth the energy and effort that they take, even when, actually especially when, they are hard. In a world where we see idealized photos of white and beige kitchens everywhere we turn, how then do we step into a 30-year-old, not updated, cramped kitchen and remain content? it's a question worth asking and answering. I'm truly grateful for this time in temporary housing at a phase of life where it's easy to feel like we're entitled to only upgrades. We're past the season where we have to rough it to gain equity, aren't we? Is there really a season where we judge how we're doing by how nice our house is? Now, I love talking about both homemaking and education because both are lifelong pursuits worth time and energy. It is good to not get to a point where there is no longer any challenge. The error I made as a young mom was to think that I could put in time and effort up front and then coast, having attained my goal within a year or two and thus earning a lifetime of simple living made easy. After some years in that frustrating error, I get to spend the rest of my life repenting of that thinking and instead walking in truth. If you're not being challenged to grow, you are dead. Living cheerfully in an unappealing yet completely serviceable spot is my current challenge, which I embrace gratefully. After all, it's really not that big of a deal in the scheme of things. After all, 3 or 4 or even 5 years is not as long a time as I thought it was when I was 20. It's a blink. Of course, I would have made different packing choices had I known that we would be here for more than a year, but I didn't know. So here we are, and it's just stuff. Because it's a blink, though, I should share what I've learned before I forget this season. First, homemaking is about hospitality. Hospitality, in turn, is about being welcoming, serving people's human needs. Hospitality is not about decor, flower arrangements, or color schemes. We squeeze our big family table into the dining room and put people around it. It's not the most comfortable, and it's definitely not impressive. But hospitality is about making connections, not showing off. If we waited until our life and our home were optimal to have people over, or until we felt like it was a good representation of our personalities or tastes, or if we waited even just to enjoy family conversation around the table until the house felt like home, it would honestly never happen. Optimal is not at all necessary. Whatever you have, wherever you are, there are likely opportunities to share it graciously and cheerfully. That's hospitality. Don't let Instagram photos create unreasonable expectations for what place settings must be, or for what a menu must be, or what your space must be. In a world where family meals are rare at all, inviting people in to sit around a table, or even in the living room, which is what we usually do since our space is so tight, and just eat everyday food together is potent culture making. No tablecloth required. Second, homemaking is not about making your home a trophy. If you Google homemaking, you don't usually get household management advice. You get decorating advice. It appears that we all imagine that homes actually run themselves, and all we have to do as homemakers is to make them smell like sourdough bread and have linen curtains floating on the breeze. But making a home is mostly executive work. It's not crafting. Domestic arts are great, and it's wonderful that many are rediscovering lost techniques and crafts. But those crafts don't define homemaking. By the state of blogs, YouTube, and Instagram these days, though, you'd think you're not a homemaker at all if you aren't also homesteading and producing all your own foods and definitely making sourdough. The Proverbs 31 woman gives us a well-rounded picture of a homemaker. She's no drudge, she's a lady, and she's an executive, managing servants and property. She's productive in what she sets her hands to, and also her family has more than what she herself can make. Her family is part of the community, and she is cheerfully active. We're told nothing of her home's aesthetic, although she does obviously care about beauty and quality. Her efforts all work toward maximally stewarding time and property. She's not spending all her time and money making and being. She's not spending all her time and money making and effort on mere decor. So, although a season will come where I will be actually called to decorate, I'm currently in a season where I am called to live with bare white walls, cramped furniture arrangements, and not very much counter space. It's not my property, so it isn't my job to improve it, but rather to use it wisely and well while we are here. Fill a home with people. Fill a table with food. Fill a space with smiles and laughter, and no one minds the fact that the floor is stained vinyl, that the kitchen is not worth looking at, or that there are no curtains. The third thing to remember is that every home takes work. I remember as a kid looking longingly at a particular rose pattern bedspread, thinking that it was probably because my room wasn't pretty that I couldn't keep it clean. If my room was pretty, I thought, then I'd naturally keep it clean so that it would stay pretty. My parents painted the bedroom, added a rose wallpaper border. Yes, remember those? And they gave me a new bedspread and a sheet set with matching roses. I was over the moon. I also, turns out, was the same person with the same habits, and my pretty bedroom did not at all stay clean naturally and easily. I've reminded myself of that personal cautionary tale many times throughout my life. There have been many times where I thought some version of, if only X, then I would Y. If only our kitchen was remodeled, then I'd keep it organized. If only we redid the flooring, I'd keep it mopped. If only... And then I catch myself and say, what are you, 7 years old? Stop living in a daydream world. Same here. It is so tempting to look around and think, well, this house can't be organized or tidy or clean. Why bother? It will never look great. So why keep it up at all? I'll just wait until we move into our custom home to be a totally different person than what I am currently behaving like right now. No. Now is a trial run for later. Now is practice time. Whatever I am practicing now is what I will be more of then. My skills and abilities and habits are from myself, not from my surroundings or circumstances. There's nothing I can do to make this rental look like an Instagram home, but I don't need to. There's much I can do to make it useful for hospitality, for education, for conversation, for reading, for family dinners, for personal hygiene, for all the things that homes are supposed to facilitate. And no matter where you are, you can also. Do you need help getting your space under control? Do you have a bad attitude about your current home, your current schedule, your current family habits? Is there something about life dragging you down, making you drag your feet, and while you're at it, things are getting worse, not better? I have just the ticket. Try my Bust Out of Burnout Bingo Challenge. It's a bingo card of 5-minute or less tasks that will help you get traction and momentum going in your home. Sometimes energy comes from just starting, and starting can be the hardest part, but the Bust Out of Burnout Bingo card will help you get a start, get some traction, get moving, and see real progress in your home from your actions. It will snowball into bigger and better change. So, Get started now. Go to simplyconvivial.com/bingo. That's simplyconvivial.com/bingo. Or find a link in the description below, and you might just be surprised how much it helps you repent, rejoice, repeat.